G'day viewers. Well, I don't know if I did videos on this sometime in the past, but I probably didn't. But my brother bought this as a second ute about 8 years ago. But the original problem with it was fine on the road and everything, drivable. Just the inlet manifold gaskets had gone, and that was yeah, he never got around to fixing it. You can see they're the old ones. He never got around to fixing it, so it sat in the shed for 2 years at the time, and then we moved into town, and this sat at his in his friend's shed for another 6 years to now. Which about 2 years ago they were fixing it. Had the funny story. They had the charged in the inlet manifold gaskets, and they did something to test something, or something with the gas system, or something was friggin' sparked, and but he caught the bloody valley cover, because this engine's never been degreased, and all that grease on the motor caught fire, and they just had to run quickly and act quickly, push it out of the shed a little bit, and get a bloody hose ASAP before it got too bad. So they ended up hosing it all down, drained all the water out of the sump, because the water got inside the cylinders and the inside the motor. Got all the fire extinguished. It didn't burn past this point here. The firewall's okay. It's just the wiring loom on the motor and the wiring loom for the gas propane system was damaged. The wiring loom for the engine was mostly destroyed, but that's been replaced. That's all nice and crispy. Some of the wires burnt through, but not all, so he replaced that's all been replaced. New looms, the oxygen sensors, their sockets are all melted, so they're gone. There's a wiring loom there for the gas, which is got a lot of damage onto it. There's a copper pipe there for the gas, which is that went under the body of the vehicle, which so just shielded, that's got melted. There's most of the gas system there, which is melted up. But he ended up fixing it, got it running again. Had to drain, I just said drain all the water out, took the plugs out, flushed not WD-40, kerosene in the cylinders with no plugs, and just spun it over a little bit. Washed all the inside of the engine out with a lot of kerosene and get it all nice and clean. And then he reassembled it and changed the oil once or twice and ran it. Got a little bit warm and changed the oil again just to be 100% sure. So there's actually nothing wrong with it, didn't do any damage inside the motor. Nice clean oil. There's the power steering hose I've got to fix because that leaks. The heater hoses I've got to redo that because that was originally plumbed had the gas system in. But I'm going to redo these hoses. New heater tap. New power steering hoses. I think one had a noisy tail shaft centre bearing under there, so that has to be changed. The airbox got backfired from the gas and blew the arse end out of it, so that has to be fixed. So I got all these extra bits coming. I got new oxygen sensors coming, so the what do you call that? Got the maps chip, not the maps chip, but that one there is the original one. That's tuned for gas, which won't work anymore. So I'll put my ute one in there, just so I can run this thing to move it. Memcal, that's it. Memcal, I see. Yeah, that's this one here, which is it's no longer on LPG anymore, so this is not going to start anymore. So I had to put my ute one in there. So I've got another one of these coming, a normal one, so I can run this ute normally. But it does run. It doesn't have the exhaust, as you can see. It's taken off because they've got to get the oxygen sensors off, replace those, and put it all back together. So it's just some manifold exhausts right there. It does sound nice. It does run good. And the other thing that got most of the damage is the throttle cable. So I got that coming as well. That got most of the heat damage. This is a bit, it's not too bad, it's still alright. That's been melted, that's coming, got a new one of those coming. Well, that's where most of the flames were here. But luckily the damage is pretty minimal. But it runs pretty good. Give it a good start. Runs alright. It's a little bit hard to start because this is 90% of the time this is driven on gas. So the injectors are probably going to be a bit clogged up, and they were cleaned. You did clean them and flush them a bit just to get them used to having petrol pump through them again. But it does run alright. The computer's going to throw funny codes at me because it's got no oxygen sensors. New radiator cap. No coolant obviously because it never had any of the hoses on it. They were just dry. But I've put the hoses back on, bypass that heater one for now so I can move this thing around a little bit. But I'm going to take the oxygen sensors off before I put the exhaust manifold back on, because these can be hard to get to and hard to undo. Especially these has never been off. So I'm going to take them off when it's off the vehicle. Gas solenoid there. But all in all, it's not too bad a vehicle. I was going to get this soot mess off it. But I'm just going to fix it up and sell it. Here's a nice ute bed. I've got my personal one. That's part of the gas system there, which is no longer needed, so I'll have to take all that out, take all this out, and just revert it to a single fuel vehicle. Well, this ute came with 2 dead batteries. A Century battery dating back to 2016. 620 coconut, totally gone. It doesn't hold a voltage at all, no matter what sort of charger I put on it. I put a Noco Genius, a C-Tech, both at the same time on there in parallel, simultaneously on revive and desulfation mode overnight for about almost 12 hours actually. And didn't make any difference. And it had a normal linear charger on it as well to hold the to keep everything, the other chargers from turning off and that. No go, that battery doesn't want to wake up even the slightest, so it's dead. But I'll just clean it up now. Clean it quite well. And the other battery, which is a GS Urasa battery, a Thai battery. It's just completely bone dry, no liquid in it whatsoever. I just put some distilled water in it to the correct levels. And I think it's actually starting to charge, it's actually holding the voltage. CM GS battery limited, Thailand. Okay viewers, well, just going to interrupt it there briefly. As I said, it's a Thai made battery. Bit fat. Been dead for a while, this one, and dried out. But I looked at the plates carefully and they looked mostly intact. They didn't look like old tree bark. So, it looks promising, so well, it's worth reviving this one. The Century battery plates looked worse for wear than this one, even though they're both the same company. GS or Urasa that owns Century, so they're both made by the same company. This is made by CM, which is a Thai company. CM, just a thing in Thailand. Anything that's made there, the engineering or something, has a CM, which is what the word they use. 4.5 volts, we're getting there. It was only 5% health before. Oh, it's getting there. Can't guarantee it yet, but that's promising. Promising. So, would it come from a vehicle built in Thailand and imported into Australia? So, it's just specific for the Thai market, this battery. No hot spots, so the cells are all, look at all the cells, are all bubbling pretty aggressively the same, so which is good. Might be a 500 or 500, I reckon it's around about the 500 cold cranking out mark. I reckon there's absolutely no specs on it whatsoever. No specs on the battery, what amp hours or cold cranking out, just a generic bog standard factory issued battery, OEM battery, so far so good. Anyway, just started cleaning this up a bit, got most of the smoke damage off the outside. I've got to do all that yet, get that smoke damage off. I degreased the engine a bunch of times. No wonder I caught fire. This thing was never ever cleaned. It was just filthy. Even when my brother first bought it, it was just filthy the previous owner never ever washed it. That much oil and crap coated on this thing. It's no wonder it caught fire. But she's all good now. Nice, I'm going to clean it up, and I work on it. I don't have much time at the moment, but here and there I do a bit of work on it. I'm going to get it up on the stands and put the exhaust manifold back on, manifold back to cat. That's all got to go back on. I've got the oxygen sensors off here, which is easy to get to, so they're all off. I've got some new bits coming for that. That can all go back on. The interior just got to be put back together. Find the rubber thing that goes in there, the insert that goes in that. I don't think it's here, but I'll chase it up another time. Wrap that back down and take the gas bottle out of here because it's not needed anymore. It's got to be too much money to actually repair your gas system anyway, so not really worth it nowadays anyway. I've got some bits in here, I think. Aha, yes. I was told this was here. New heater tap. Now I think they could have hoses too, so I'm going to put that in. I'll get some new hoses for there. Install that. Everything's basically here. The bare basics are all here. It's got that chip coming for that, the Memcal chip. I've got a power steering pump. Cool, I've got a power steering pump there ready to go in. Apparently it was leaking, so I'll put that in. That's got to go in. That's got to go in. I've got some new ones of these, so that can go in because they got a little bit singed. That's under there. It got a little bit singed there, so I'm going to replace those. Cool. So those, the heater tap, it's there, the power steering pump's there, new hoses, they're going to go straight in. Don't have to worry about putting the coolant in it. Nice. The bloke said he fixed it up and he's got all the bits in there for me to fix it myself, so I don't have to spend much money on this at all. Put those hoses in the heater tap and fix up the power steering that's leaking, and that's it, and we're good to go. All I really need is oxygen sensors, which I've got coming, and the throttle cable, that's on its way too. I've organised a replacement for that. Anyway, that'll be enough for now. Thanks for watching. Okay viewers, a quick side note. This really pisses me off. This has always been Australian made, see? Australian made Mackay hoses. Here's what pisses me off. Made in Thailand. The whole bloody lot made in Thailand. Yep, all made in Thailand. That one's made in Australia. Made in Thailand. Fucking bullshit. This country's really gone to shit, so be careful what you buy. You get scammed these days. Even made in Australia, dickheads. Not all of it anyway. It's getting less and less. That's maiden time then as well, as I showed before. Anyway, I have all the bits here, so I'm going to proceed to do all the hoses now.